Perhaps only China in the entire world would dare to build this railway. That was the high praise given by the director of the Angola Railway Bureau to the Chinese engineering team during a ceremony in 2015. You might think he was exaggerating, but China's construction team truly spent 10 full years and $1.8 billion to complete this 1,300-kilometer railway. Logically speaking, a railway project of this scale could probably be built and put into operation within 3 years in China. But the difficulty here was that the construction areas along the route were littered with over 6 million landmines. Many of these landmines still haven't been detonated even today. If just one were to explode, it could set off an unimaginable chain reaction. Because of this, the railway had remained incomplete for more than 100 years. But the question is, why did China take such a huge risk to help Angola build this railway? And what is the railway's current status now? If you like our video content, please click to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can receive all our latest video content. Now, let's get into today's topic. Angola is located in southwestern Africa, bordering the Atlantic Ocean. Looking at the map, it sits between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Namibia, with more than 1,600 kilometers of coastline. This long stretch of coast gives it a natural strategic advantage in Atlantic shipping and regional trade. More importantly, Angola is the second largest oil producer in sub-Saharan Africa, and its diamond reserves rank among the top 10 in the world. In theory, a country with such abundant resources and such a favorable geographic position should be well positioned to enter a phase of rapid development. But in reality, Angola's economic structure is extremely narrow. Its GDP relies almost entirely on oil exports. Whenever international oil prices fluctuate significantly, the entire national economy sways along with them. Of course, many of Angola's development challenges are also closely tied to its lack of transportation infrastructure. Originally, the country's transportation needs were supposed to be carried by the Benguela Railway. But as early as 1975, when the Civil War broke out, the railway had already been severely damaged. By the time the war finally ended in 2002, the more than 1,300-kilometer line had long been devastated, and the areas along the route were filled with landmines. According to some data, more than 10 million landmines were buried throughout Angola at the time, and along the Benguela Railway alone, at least 6 million had not been cleared. So if Angola truly wanted to restart its economy, the first step was to restore this railway that had been destroyed by war and sealed off by landmines. The Angolan government certainly understood this. But the problem was that a country just emerging from war had almost nothing left. Its national strength was far too weak. Forget rebuilding a railway. Even many highways, farmlands, and villages still had landmines scattered across them. Under these circumstances, the only option was to pin their hopes on international assistance. After the Civil War ended, Angola first sought support from neighboring countries and the Western world. But not a single one was willing to step forward and take on the risk of rebuilding the railway. The reason was simple and realistic. Post-war Angola had almost nothing. Its economy was extremely fragile. Its legal system was still underdeveloped, and its infrastructure, such as roads, was in ruins. Many rural areas were still littered with landmines. For any company interested in participating in the reconstruction of the Benguela Railway, the first challenge would be dealing with the massive number of landmines left behind by decades of conflict. The cost of clearing them would be enormous, and the construction timeline would be impossible to predict. For Western companies driven by profit, the risks of such a project were simply too great, offering virtually no appeal. Caught in this difficult situation, the Angolan government began turning its attention toward China. From what I understand, China at that time was in a phase of rapid development. Not only did it have strong infrastructure building capabilities, but it was also willing to exchange infrastructure construction for greater influence in Africa. More importantly, China did not attach political conditions to the aid it offered. This was extremely important for Angola, which had just emerged from a long civil war and urgently needed reconstruction. The Angolan government gradually realized that if they truly wanted the country to get back on its feet, China might be their only reliable and genuinely feasible partner. So, starting from 2002, right after the Civil War ended, Angolan officials began visiting China frequently, proactively negotiating with Chinese banks and construction companies. By 2004, Angola officially proposed the Oil for Loans plan, using oil as collateral to secure loans from China, while bringing in Chinese technology and engineering support. This model was appealing to both sides. Angola didn't need to come up with large sums of money up front, and China could secure a stable supply of energy through the arrangement. Ultimately, this win-win model led the two countries to sign a series of agreements, including the reconstruction of the Angolan Railway as a major project. But as mentioned earlier, the biggest challenge of the Angolan Railway wasn't funding or technology, it was the millions of landmines scattered along the entire route. According to international organizations, roughly 6 million uncleared landmines still remained along the 1,344-kilometer line, an average of more than 4,000 landmines per kilometer. In such an environment, every step the Chinese construction team took could have triggered an explosion. To ensure safety, workers had to wait for demining teams to completely clear a small section and confirm it was safe before construction could begin. Many times, the time spent on demining was longer than the railway construction itself. A stretch of only a few dozen kilometers could require months, or even up to a year, of demining work. Because of this, the area was labeled by international agencies as one of the most densely mined regions in the world. Beyond the widespread landmines, the natural conditions along the Angolan Railway were also exceptionally complex. The route passes from plains into highlands, mountains, gorges, and vast tropical shrublands, each new terrain bringing its own challenges. Daytime temperatures often exceeded 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit, which greatly shortened the lifespan of machinery and put workers at constant risk of heat stroke. During the rainy season, heavy downpours would halt construction entirely, and a single flood could wash away sections of track that had already been completed. On top of that, the railway corridor had once been a major battleground. The entire line was filled with craters and ruins, and in many areas, it was nearly impossible to see any trace of the original railway. Chinese workers had to first clear away post-war debris, check for and remove unexploded ordnance, and then rebuild the roadbed and drainage systems. When they encountered valleys, they had to build bridges. When they reached mountains, they had to dig tunnels. Only after all of this could sleepers and rails be laid. And since inland Angola had almost no production capacity at that time, most of the materials had to be imported from other regions. To rebuild this railway, the Chinese engineering team had to confront more than 6 million landmines scattered along the route. China provided advanced mine detectors, blast-resistant suits, and plow-type demining machines, and used mechanized mowing and excavation equipment to minimize risks for construction workers. At the same time, Chinese engineers carefully studied Angola's geological conditions. Before railway construction could begin, workers first had to stabilize the roadbed. Ordinary sections required asphalt paving, while soft soil areas needed stone piles and sand piles to increase load-bearing capacity. In the highland regions, reinforced soil structures and retaining walls also had to be added to prevent subsidence or deformation during railway operations. Finally, in 2014, the entire 1,344-kilometer Angolan Railway was completely rebuilt by China, an effort that took a full 10 years. In February 2015, the railway officially opened to traffic. At the opening ceremony that day, the director of the Angolan Railway Bureau gave very high praise to the Chinese engineering team. He even exclaimed that perhaps only China in the entire world had the ability to build such a railway. So now that the railway has been in service for 10 years, what benefits has it brought to Angola? Since its opening in 2015, The Benguela Railway has been operating steadily for 10 full years. It successfully connected the port of Lobito with the inland mining regions, allowing resources, such as manganese or from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, to be transported out of the country more efficiently and smoothly. Since international trade resumed in 2018, the railway's cumulative freight volume has already exceeded 360,000 tons. For example, the cost of transporting goods from Moxico province dropped from over $1,000 per ton to just a few dozen dollars. As transportation costs fell, prices in the surrounding regions also began to drop, boosting activity in both agriculture and the retail sector. For ordinary Angolans, the changes brought by this railway have been even more tangible and direct. So far, the Benguela Railway has transported more than 4 million passengers in total. The travel time between Lobito and Benguela has been cut in half, and tickets are cheaper than taking a bus, making travel both faster and more affordable. This kind of convenience is especially important for people who rely on part-time jobs or small street businesses. What's even more interesting is that small markets have naturally formed around many stations along the route. With more foot traffic, street vendors get more business. And with a stable customer base, many people for the first time now have a real opportunity to make a living thanks to the railway. So calling the Benguela Railway the lifeline of Angola's post-war reconstruction and economic recovery is by no means an exaggeration. But you might still wonder, why did China take the risk and spend money to help Angola build such a railway? As we all know, starting in the 2000s, China entered a period of rapid economic growth. Its industrialization accelerated and the demand for oil rose sharply. At that time, the situation in the Middle East was complicated and filled with uncertainties regarding the stability of oil supplies. By comparison, crude oil from Africa's west coast was of higher quality, and the shipping routes were more stable and secure. Under these circumstances, to ensure a long-term, reliable energy supply, China chose to provide loans to Angola, helping it rebuild its railway while establishing a strong partnership. It was because China made this strategic decision back then that Angola has become one of China's top 3 oil suppliers today. And facts have shown that this model of cooperation is truly win-win and absolutely the right choice. More importantly, in 2013, China proposed the Belt and Road Initiative, a grand strategy aimed at reshaping global cross-regional economic networks. And for this vast economic web to truly take shape, Africa is undeniably a key link. After all, Africa is one of the most promising markets in the world, yet also one of the regions with the weakest infrastructure. So whether it's the Benguela Railway, the Tazara Railway linking East and Southern Africa, or whether it's port construction or highway development, China's presence can be seen across many of the massive infrastructure projects Africa possesses today. To not miss out on our future projects and news updates, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We will continue to provide you with more exciting and interesting content.